Welcome everyone to our first weekly analysis on traders consigliere. So we look at the fundamentals and the technicals for the upcoming week ahead and determine trade opportunities. So first and foremost, let's look at the fundamentals first before we move into our technicals. First, we look at the previous week technicals and see if there is anything important that was said or released. So from the previous week, we had some technicals, and the ones that stood out to me, one was the consumer confidence in US, and we see that number came in green. Green, that means inflation is still persisting. Consumer confidence is supposed to drop, right? If the rate hikes are working from the Federal Reserve, right? Federal Reserve are the ones who print money and control the monetary policy. So if the rate hikes are supposed to work, these numbers are supposed to be in the red. Consumers are supposed to feel pain, right? So this number is still in the green. Interesting. Pending home sales. One thing I've been keeping an eye on is the real estate market in the US, the home sales and anything related to that. Because Federal Chairman Powell has mentioned multiple times on he's keeping up close attention to the real estate market and the home sales. So and what I notice is the number is in the green if you compare from the previous month, which was in the negative, right? Sorry, it was in the positive. So what has happened this month is this week is we see the number did drop much lower than the previous month, but it did not come in negative. So pending home sales have dropped, but higher than the forecast. The main statistics of last week was the final gross domestic product for the US dollar, and the number did drop a little bit. So I can't jump to any conclusions here because the number isn't drastic, right? Because if you do look at the previous numbers, there were some drastic results, and with this result, I can't gauge on if this is bullish or bearish for the US dollar. Unemployment claim is pretty much in the same range, has been floating around the same range, right? And for Japanese yen, the core CPI in Tokyo came in higher. Inflation is persisting there. And if you look at the core PC price index that came in on Friday, which was probably one of the important statistic, the number did come in red, showing me that PC price index has dropped. This is the change in price of goods and services purchased by consumers, excluding food and energy, right? So it has dropped, which is a sentiment of US dollar bearish, right? So if this comes in green, that's US dollar bullish, right? Because inflation is persisting if it's in green. So that's interesting to see. Purchasing Managers Index in Chicago came in at 43.8, a bit higher. So nothing significant there. So let's look at the current week quickly. We have the ISM Manufacturing Purchase Managers Index this week. This will have some volatility in the market. We have this week is NFP week, right? First week of the month. So we have a lot of labor market data coming in. We have Joe's job opening, the precursor to NFP. The number is coming in a bit lower from the forecast, so we're going to see what happens there. Also, the ADP non-farm employment change, again another precursor to NFP. It's coming. It's forecast to come on 208K, again lower than the previous month. So if you look at the both forecasts, they are forecasted to come in lower. And therefore, the analysts I think believe that the labor market is gonna get tighter, right? So lower jobs, and therefore if the rate hikes are working, so something to keep an eye on. ISM services PMI, important. Unemployment claims is apparently going on much higher. which shows that their rate hikes are working. People are getting labor market is feeling pain. And the last day of the week, the NFP day, we have NFP on US dollar, and the number is significantly dropping to 235k from 311k. So all the labor market data shows the labor market is getting tighter. A lot of people are going to feel pain. Unemployment is going to go up, right? Which is a sentiment for US dollar bearish. And if you do notice, average hourly earnings is a bit higher, so that's going to be interesting to see what comes out there. And if any of you guys are trading British pound instruments, do not trade on Friday because of bank holiday. Just because of probability sakes, we usually tend to see lower volume and choppier moves. So now let's look at technicals, and first of all, let's look at the Dixie, which is the US dollar index. And what do we see with as the monthly candles have closed? So we're going to start off on the monthly time frame and trickle down to the lower time frames. So we clearly see a trend of a head and shoulders there, right, which is very bearish on the monthly time frame as well, right? So this is not yet confirmed, the head and shoulders. That only happens once the neckline is broken through and we found support at the neckline, right? So at the moment we are starting to see a head and shoulders form. Not a good thing, but something that I have kept an eye on for the last couple of weeks is this area right there at 10, let's call it around that 101 102 area, right? 102 support, and then 102 support has held quite nicely for now. But if this does break, I see a lot of bearish volume with the US dollar, right? So that's interesting to see. So let's see how that develops. And now let's look at indices first, right? Let's look at indices first, and let's look at US 30, the Dow Jones, from the monthly time frame as well. And the monthly time frame isn't telling us too much, but we do see a lot of choppiness, right? We see this trend there, right? A downward trend breakthrough. We kind of find it broke through bullish for a while, but it's been consolidating and has been in a choppy range for the past few months since November. So monthly isn't telling me much. Let's look at the bi-weekly time frame. The bi-weekly time frame is again still bearish. Weekly is also technically bearish. The reason why is, do you see the weekly structure point there? I like to mark off my structure points. So it hasn't technically yet broken through, so this is still remains bearish, right? But the volume here is a lot. It's a heavy volume, and if you notice the wicks of the candle, what do we see? There aren't much of a top wick, even a bottom wick. This is pretty much a Marubozu candle, which signifies heavy volume, right? From the start of the week towards the end of the week, buyers were in control. So we see that happen, but technically, structure wise, we still remain bearish. Let's look at the daily time frame now. So the daily time frame is clearly bullish, right? There's no mistaking that. Especially the last day that closed, we see a heavy bullish volume towards the upside. So just by looking at the weekly candle and the daily candle, I maybe would be looking to take on buys, right? Taking buys would make a lot of sense just because of the heavy volume we're seeing at the moment. So on the 4-hour time frame, I expect, or I hope, right, we see a price comes in, find support around this area at around the 33 zone, right? 33 zone, and take off there. And this is where I would be looking to take long positions from. So this area is at, let me mark off to be a little bit more accurate, maybe 32,950. But remember, the number that I mark out is just a reference point, because supply demand is a zone, right? It's not a specific point in the market. So that's something I'll be looking at with US 30 Dow Jones, to take this position there. But We will now look at SPX because I think SPX S&P 500 looks a bit more cleaner to me, and I'll explain why. We see the monthly time frame. We see it was in a choppy range, right? But at the moment, the current one has kind of broken through above. Still kind of in the range, but it's broken above. And what I like is, if you look at the top of the candle, we again don't see much wicks. This shows you a massive volume, right? Sellers pushed the market down all the way down there, but as the month closed, we saw buyers come in control and close out fully, right at the top. So let's look at the weekly time frame, and the weekly time frame is clearly bearish, right? Bullish. Why is that? We see the weekly structure point completely break through. We see the candle completely break through. Not only that, it's broken structure, plus we see a lot of massive volume towards the top, right, this week. And we look at the wicks, there isn't much wick towards the top, showing buyers were completely in control till the market closed, right? So that's quite interesting. So I'm looking at buys then on the weekly. Now even the daily is bullish, right? So the daily is also very clean. We see massive volume, and the last candle that closed was completely in buyers control. We see pretty much no wicks, right? So we are looking to take only buys, and I expect a follow through with the buying volume this week as well. So let's look at the 4-hour time frame, right? Let's look at the 4-hour time frame, and here I am looking to get in on a long position around this area here, right, which is 40-50, let's call it, around near closer to that 40-50 area. Let's call it 40-60, right, for simplicity sakes. And let me type that out. So always remember, supply demand is a zone, and let me also draw the direction. So I expect a retracement, and if price can find support and I get some confirmations, then I shall take a long position there, right? Obviously, you shouldn't be jumping into these positions just because price reached there. You gotta wait for price to find support, get your confluences in order, and then take the position. So that's what I'm looking at with this. But if price doesn't hold at this area there that I've mentioned, possibly price can retrace, and it can retrace all the way towards the weekly structure point there and then find support, or worst case scenario comes all the way down here and finds support. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think the maximum it would retrace is towards the weekly structure point, and if that happens, maybe you can take a position there, right? And that would be at, let's say around that 40-45 area there, 40-45 possibly. But I would really like if price can find support there at 40-60. That seems like a very nice area to take off position from. We have a lot of supply demand there. So that's SPX, right? Now let's look at gold. So gold has been very interesting this month. We see massive volume towards the top, right? And the way the candle close is completely bullish. This is a complete bullish engulfing, very bullish for gold. But the red trend line that you see towards the top, this is the yearly trend line, and it has respected the trend line again, right? So let's look at the weekly time frame. Weekly time frame shows us a retracement, a tiny retracement this week. Nothing significant has to happen after we see this massive bullish candle that we saw. So weekly remains still bullish, right? Monthly is bullish, weekly is bullish. The daily is also bullish. Let me see if I can get this trend line through and make that black. What do we see? Price is on an upward motion, but price has been a bit choppy. We have been creating higher highs, right, and lower and higher lows, but now it's stuck in this range here, right? And I want to see what price does. Can price break through here and again continue its position up by breaking these structure point on the daily there? So technically we are bullish on gold, but at the moment, just by looking at this price action here, it's a bit choppy there. Let's look at the 4-hour time frame. In fact, actually, let's look at the 12-hour time frame first. 12-hour time frame has been creating higher highs, right? High lows. So let's see on the 4-hour time frame. The 4-hour time frame is bullish as well, technically, right? But we have a short pullback here, and me personally, just by looking at this I can't find a really good area of interest. In the past week I was taking off trades from here, even I took a trade off here, right? So at the moment I see this area has been completely retested, and possibly if you want to risk it, this wouldn't be the highest probability trade, but if you do want to take it, it's up to you. Let me mark that off. Is this area here, right? Let me stretch that out. So this area here, possibly you can take a long position from, but I would be a bit careful. But one thing I do like about this area is we only don't have supply demand. This area also intersects with the trend line there, but I don't heavily rely on a trend line, so I will be a bit careful when taking this position. And this position does fall here in, let's call it 1964. It's around that area there. And 1964, right? So that's this this area I would be looking to take long positions on gold, because all of the time frames are bullish. Only thing is the daily time frame is a bit choppy, that I don't like, but possibly we can take a long position there, right? That's it with gold. Let's look at GJ quickly. GJ, I haven't been touching it, trading it up much the past weeks because it's been too choppy. I mean, look at the monthly candle as well, not turning as much, but we do see a lot of rejection towards the bottom. The weekly is bullish. Weekly had some bullish move, kind of broke the weekly structure, but not confirmed yet. The daily, so the daily does show us a little bit more perspective. It broke the weekly structure and found support, so kind of looks bullish, but I don't like these gaps below. So let's look at the 4-hour time frame. Let's look at the 4-hour time frame. And yeah, possibly GJ can retrace towards the bottom here. Let's see, around this area here, you can probably see GJ retrace towards, or GJ can find support here and then take off on the weekly structure point. But I do not like these gaps below, so I personally would wait for this area to get retested at 162. Let's go to 162. So this would be a position to take, but got to be careful with GJ. GJ has been a bit all over the place for the past couple of weeks. And the last pair we will look at is GU. And GU is, I haven't been trading GU much, just gonna break it down for you guys who do trade it. And if you do look at the monthly time frame, what do we see? Stock is still stuck in the range for the past couple of months, right? From all the way from December. So plus it's rejected the yearly trend line yet again, right? So the weekly time frame, look at the weekly, it's very bullish, but again rejected the yearly trend line. So we're bullish on the weekly. The daily also we remain bullish with higher highs, higher lows, bullish. So we are only looking to take buys, right? This is a 12-hour time frame. Let's look at the 4-hour time frame once. So the 4-hour time frame, we kind of do see price retracing towards here, possibly. Let's see, right there. Right, we will call it right there. And possibly we can see price actually find support here, possibly, and maybe you can maximize on this amount of pips right from here. You can maybe maximize with 75 pips, even up to 100 pips, right? So possibly we can look at GU long positions there at let's call it 1.3, 1.23250, a quarter point. Yep. So that's possibly right, but this is not very high probability. I would be a bit careful when taking these positions, right? Because we do see I want to see price find support here, which we are kind of forming at the moment, right? And possibly you can ride this position out towards the top, right? So that's the only position I'll be looking at with GU, British Pound, US dollar. Alright, so guys, till next week, we will meet next week again, and we're going to, throughout the week, we will keep on updating regarding these trades that I've called out on the free Telegram channel. Link is in the bio. Please like and subscribe and share, and till next time then.